basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by going to the library page. And I don't know if Chad has you doing this, but
Yep.
I'm hoping he did. But
Yeah.
then I'm just going to go down here to
The health and outdoor leadership.
And then this puts all the databases plus all your citation guides in here. And I also would say that right from the outset, you should have your reference list started, because whether you're using Google Scholar or any database, usually there's a pre-made APA citation. It's not perfect. It needs some adjustment and some corrections in there, but it's fairly easy to correct as opposed to doing it all by yourself or throwing pieces into a generator. It's already generated, so all you need to do is correct it.
Gotcha.
And some places do better citations than others. A couple of the databases that we use today, like ProQuest databases through Eric and ProQuest Central, they do the best citations pre-made that are out there. But Google Scholar does a nice job, except it never includes what's called the Digital Object Identifier, or DOI. But since I'm talking about this citation page in the center of the page will help you with a lot of what you're looking at when you get into the APA citations. So there's a sample list of references that'll include how to do a book, how to do a chapter in a book if you're going there. But mostly what you're probably going to kind of work on is the scholarly articles and scholarly, both with a DOI, which a DOI looks like this, or without a DOI and it just ends at the page number. And so this also stops at the page number, but it has a DOI. The DOI generally in most databases except Google Scholar is generated for you. If you get an article and you see there is a DOI with the full text, then you can come back and include it. And then these also show you how to do the in-text citations when you're referring to what somebody says in your paper. So there's several examples. And the only thing I would say that you might not be familiar with, currently we're using the 7th edition. Everybody's using the 7th edition. And the one big change is in the in-text. If you have 3 or more authors, you just put the first author et al. Period.
Oh, okay.
But the difference in there is if you have less than 20 authors total, which probably you're not going to have a lot of this, but you have to list every single author in your citation, in your reference list. So every author has to be listed, which is nice if you happen to be that 12th author out there. At least your name appears somewhere in the references. You just hate to be included like all those guys.
Yeah, all that work to not even get named. Yeah.
And then if you go down in here too, there's some website examples of how you cite website. And that depends on the type of information you might have, because you might not have an author or a date on a web page. And it depends. You will probably have some information that you may be pulling from websites because of the other aspect of what you're searching in here. But this stuff where we're going to talk about the journaling and stuff like that, it'll be less so with that. Let me do one adjustment here so my screens are all in good shape. So that's on this page. There's also what a sample list of references looks like. So all those previous references all in one big alphabetical ordering and such, that's all on there for you too. And do you use Word or use Google Docs?
I use Word.
Okay. Do you know about all the few tricks in Word in terms of doing citations?
Like building your bibliography and building all that stuff automatically type stuff?
No, it's the automatic things I'm talking about are like the, what do I want to say? The hanging indent.
Oh, yeah.
Like how to do a hanging indent, how to alphabetize things and all that.
I think so. It's in the paragraph pop out, right? And then
I'll
indentation hanging.
Let me open up Word and I'll just show you real quick what I'm kind of referring to. Okay, as soon as that opens, I don't have one in here, do I? Nope. Okay, hang on, I gotta redo my screen share. Okay, so when I do this, of course, I have references, and I'm doing this all in Times New Roman 12,
hmm
and I center that, and then I put a return in here, and then I move my cursor back over here. And then, of course, now I want to get my line spacing. So I am kind of doing that. I can either right click to get to the paragraph, or I can go up to paragraph. I'm going to just use this one. So I go into the paragraph, and then I'm using a little bit different version of Word because I'm in maybe. I'm using a Mac, so it's just a little bit different, but I do the double spacing in here. Typically in Microsoft, it usually has, I can't remember, but I think it has 6 or 8 or something over here. Just want to make sure that the spacing before and after are listed as zeros, like that.
Yeah, mine's 0 and 8.
Yeah, if you have 0 and 8, then take that and make 0 and 0. And then when you're up over here under your special, you're going to do the hanging indent in here. Now, hang on a second, because I think I still have this totally outlined. I don't want to do this yet. So let me hit OK in here. And now I have my double spacing. Now I'm going to put my cursor over here. And let me do something real quick in here, so I have something to work with. I'm just going to.
Yeah, you had the other page up. You could probably just copy those references right over.
Oh, you were right. Good point.
The example one.
So let me do it that way. Yeah, I just needed a citation. So you're right. It's exactly what I wanted to do. I was going to do it the hard way. Well, it's not very hard for me, but let me just take this one.
Just cite something from memory.
Now, the problem with this may already come in formatted. I'm not sure how this will come in, but let me see how it comes in. Oh, you don't, that's right. You can't see where I'm at right now. Huh. Why did this get changed into Calibri? Let me, maybe I just did this like this here. Make sure that, God, that looks so small. Is this my view? Why am I looking so small? Let me zoom it. There we go. Try that. That's a little better. Let me go a little bit bigger for whatever reason. Okay, now I got that. Okay, so I'm going to put my cursor in here, and then I'm going to drop my citation in there. Good, it went the way I wanted it to go. So it doesn't show the double spacing or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to highlight the whole thing, and then right click, go to my paragraph. And then here's where I'm going to make sure these are both 0, 0 line spacing. I'm going to double it back up. And then I'm going to hit special in here, and then go to hanging. And doing this right off the bat, get your hanging indent in there, so it sort of locks hanging indent for the rest of the way. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that. If I put a return in here, and then I drop another citation in, it looks like, oh, I thought it was supposed to do that. Yes, it does. Watch this. Just put your cursor over here, backspace, hit enter, and it's done.
Got it.
Okay, so you get your double space. So as you move through this and you add things, it just keeps coming out, and you get your citations. The two other things in here, let's make this Benny instead of Kinney, just for the sake of argument. Yep. And say I have 20 of these, it's more fun. But if I take and highlight them, do you know about the alphabetizing?
No, that's a great tool though.
Alphabetizing is the big A, little a right over here. Can you see that where that is?
Yeah.
And it's changes. Whoops, that's a change case. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's
change
arrow
case.
One,
okay.
A to Z arrow. I'm going to come back to that other one. So this sorts automatically alphabetically when you open it. So all you have to do is click it and say okay, and then boom, it's done.
Oh wow, that is really cool.
Yeah, these are. Yeah, I always like to do these. This is with your price of admission. This is why you pay the big bucks to be with me. Give you a couple tidbits. The other one, every once in a while, you get an article that does something like this. It may be with the author, it may be the title or something, but you'll see it look like this where it's shouting at you.
Mhm.
And you really don't want anything shouting at anybody unless it's an acronym. And you know that's not the case in here. So what you do is you come over where this change case button is, and you have sentence case, which is going to capitalize the first word, which is typically what's capitalized. And the title of the article is where there's a lot of problems typically that you have to fix. This is one of them. So if I just do sentence case, it's going to automatically drop it and I don't have to retype everything. You don't want to have to. But typically in the title of the article, not the title of the journal, which is the italicized piece, the title of the article, first word after a colon, and any proper names would be capitalized. So say independent films, if that was a proper name, then I have to capitalize it. So I would come back over here to my change case and just hit capitalize each word, and then I have it capitalized. If it was capitalized incorrectly, I can come back over here and say lowercase and just drop it back down. So that's just a couple little tricks with, you know, doing the citations.
Yeah, it's very handy.
I'm just going to leave this Word document just like it is for right now. I may come back and, you know, kind of show you this with the databases in a little bit. But let me stop the screen share there and go back to the screen share on the other page over here. And I'm going to close this off. One of the other things that you might do with this sample, if you're using a lot of scholarly articles like this, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take these articles like I just did over there. I might take a sample of one like this one where I'm also using a, it has the digital object identifier in there. And then I come back over in here. Let me swap over. I'm going to do my screen share swap. I could have done this right before that, but I didn't. That's okay. Whoops. There we go. So then I'm just going to pop this one in there. Whoops. Did I not capture it? I thought I did. Let me go back here. You can't see this, but I can. Okay. And it looked like it messed this up, which is fine. I don't care because I just backspace and then I'm going to go up to my top line and then here, let me just do it this way and get to the right spot. And whoops. There, so it got it there, but it didn't do the hanging indent. If I click it one back further and do that, now it has the hanging indent. What I do a lot of times with something like this, let me take this one out there because it's a repeat. Actually, this is supposed to be Kinney. But I'll take something like this and I'll just color these two things in red. And I know that they're not really my references, but they're examples. So I want to make my references that I'm bringing in look like these. Okay. So a lot of times then I'm basically creating my own reference list is my own APA guide, if you will. So, you know, if mine look like this, then I'm doing pretty good in there and I can move on from there. Okay, let me go back over and we're going to go into the database here in a second. Okay, close this off and then close this one. Just go back over to here. So one of the things, as you can see in here, I do have Google Scholar in here. One of the things I might do with Google Scholar is something like this. Let me see if I can find where, oh. I was trying to find your email. So here's something that you did is you gave me this aim in here. This is where Google Scholar becomes handy versus using it when I have good databases from the library that I have access to. But one of the things I can do is I can take a whole thesis statement and stick it in here and then do a search. And I'll get things, and sometimes those things will be halfway decent. The only thing when I'm searching in here, one of the things I want to be careful of is I want to watch the date because Google Scholar, anything from the web it doesn't use data as a criteria, but data is a very real criteria for me and for you.
Hmm.
So one of the things I want to get things that are more recent. So I could start with, say, since 2017, which is, pretty limited in some ways, or I can make a custom range and say, I can even go down to say 2011 to, I like this 2025, 25. Because I can put the date way out there, and
Mm-hmm.
once I do that, it changes and alters my search. So only the more recent things get in there. And 2011s are pretty gracious. Most people like to stay within about 5 years, but it depends on what you're getting. Now, one of the reasons I would use Google Scholar in this kind of way is to see, I'm really having a trouble expressing what exactly I'm looking for. So I threw everything under the sun in there to see if something sticks. And then I'm hoping that through their algorithm of trying to create relevance up at the top of my search, that I see one good thing. And one of the things I'm seeing, it's built in here, is the idea of mindfulness, which is another very researchable thing, just like reflection and those. So I start thinking of, well, I have some really kind of cool things I can work with in the research, particularly with the idea of journaling. And so that would be the only reason I use that, is to kind of get potentially maybe one really good article that gets me a way of waking up to whatever it is, the experience of counseling psychologists who use mindfulness. Now, see, that's not even related to anything I want, but it does use the word mindfulness, which is a word I can kind of track. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things I might suggest to you is, on that reference list, even at somewhere on the top, you keep a list of keywords. So when you run into words,
yeah, I have been
in intrapersonal, transformation, mindfulness, reflection, intention, any of those kinds of things, experience even, that you keep a list of those so you can mix and match those when you get into the database. You don't need those so much with Google Scholar. With Google Scholar, I might do something like transform this search into all the good words that I particularly like. The stop words are usually pulled out, not keep the transformation. I like your idea of purposely disconnecting from the digital world. There are a couple students in communication who did that as a research project. They took one person and he had to do without his phone, Facebook, or any social media for a week. And that was their research project. And they reported, and they caught him sneaking appointment. He said, well, I had to use the phone. I had to get to work and I had to call somebody. He said, you weren't allowed to do it. So it was a really funny thing, because, when they did the presentation, I watched them do a presentation about it. I was laughing my butt off over it because it was really funny. The poor kid was really mad at him at one time. He just got angry. You can't take away my things all the time. It's just a project for school, damn it.
Wow. Dang, it's literally like a drug.
Yeah.
Detoxing.
So,
Dang,
so once I get into something like this, I might start coming up with the main kind of words I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to just leave all that. And so then I have, these words I'm really dealing with. I'm going to leave the digital part out of this. And then I could search that once I get there. And, so from pilgrim to tourist and back again, as a sacred travel, as a sacred journey. And right away I'm thinking, wow, that looks like that could be a pretty good article. The only thing I don't know about an article that comes out of Google Scholar is, especially when I see, it's just a PDF over here and I don't see any database associated with this. Like this one, I see a search ProQuest or something. I know it's a database. When I come over here, this could be just some student's paper. Does that mean it's bad? Well, it's not peer reviewed, sort of, or it's not, it's not the same kind of article in here. Whoops. So when I look at it, what I have to do is I'm going to have to find out right away. I see faculty mentor, so I know it's a student paper. That doesn't mean it's not usable. Excuse me, talking too much. It means that I could use this paper to give me ideas, to give me words like pilgrimage that you've already found. I could also use any kinds of citations that they're using. I usually would go back in the box to see what other research they did.
Mhm.
I also want to get a sense of the timeline of what they were doing, but it looks like it's a thesis paper with bad citations, because no citations, you capitalize the thing, but I don't know, maybe the teacher said this is how they wanted it, but this is in an APA format. But I would look at some of these kinds of things to see, here's a scholarly article, and you look at the glacier, the rock, and the image, emotional experience, and the semiotic diversity at, God, I can't even say that right now. Qualarit pilgrimage in Peru.
Sure. Yeah.
So, this could be really good. Now, I don't know if I could find something like this. And if I saw something like this, the way you look this up is, now I'm taking you down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Okay. I understand that. But if I see something like this and I realize it's a journal, and I can tell it's a journal, usually by the volume numbers and things like here, as opposed to a book and it's got page numbers, it doesn't look like an essay in a book. I'm going to take that journal, and what I would do is, let me go back over to here, and I'm going to go up to where it says finding books, and I'm going to do the Hannon Library search in here. This is what it looks like when you typically try to find a journal that's not full text in a database. So I'm going to change this search to Hannon only. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do title. I'm going to stick this in here. That's my journal title. And I'm going to change the material type on this to journals. So now I'm looking to see if our library has an access point to this particular journal. And so I look, and it says, yes, looks like we do. And it's an online access, which is great because I don't have to get off of my beautiful chair to go anywhere. I'm going to be able to do this right from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click the title of this, and it's going to ask me to sign in a lot of times, even though I can get the full text from there. So I'm going to hit sign in. I'm already signed it in CiteSOU. Oh, by the way, I tend to use Google Chrome when I'm doing all these searches because it tends to work better. Once in a while, there's a little bit of idiosyncrasy, and I have to use an incognito window, and I'll talk about that if we have to do that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't matter, other times it does. So I'm going to hit this download from communication source. And although it says download PDF, it should give me a list of the journals and where they are. Now I have to go back over here and say, oops, not there. I have to go, where was this? Oh, it was here, yeah, here. And I see that this was done 2014, volume 2, issue 1. And then I have to remember page 188. So I got to keep all that. I could write it down. I can take a picture of it with my phone, but I think I can kind of remember this. So then I'm going to go back into here. Oops, not here, here. And I'm going to go to 2014 and there we go. And I want volume 2, issue 1. It opens that up, and then I want a page 188. So this will start with, page 1. So I just have to scroll down a little bit until I get to page 188. Is there page 2? You better be page 2. No, it's not giving me page 2 for some reason. Or I'm not in the right issue because I only go to one. Did I have that page number right? Double check. Whoops.
Yeah, it's 188 to 240 something.
Yeah. Here, let me. That's what I thought it was. Next one.
Well, we
Yeah,
saw the quality
188.
of those of their citations might have been wrong.
That's true. So I could look at, I'm going to grab part of this title here, and I'm going to take a look for the title. Now, I would say this much. If you were doing this and you came and you got all this far and you said, wait a minute, it's, I'm in volume 2, issue 1, and I don't see page 188. What can I do? One is you can kind of experiment yourself. So I could go over here and stick the title in here. Or what you could do is I have a 15-minute rule. Like if you're not finding things in 15 minutes, you should be contacting me or something. In a case like this, what I would do is I would send me that citation and say, Dale, I'm having trouble finding it. So you can do that option. I'm going to try, and this is what I would do. And this is a little librarian-esque. I'm going to try searching for the title of this and see if it's anywhere in this journal. And for some reason, I'm just not finding it. And I'm not exactly sure why, unless there's a part of this issue that goes back a little bit further and I'm not getting it. Or let me try out here, because that should have done it unless I got too far down in here. You see the 2014 because, okay. Let me see if it's in the supplement part. And because it doesn't say some of them, I'm trying to get the page numbers. Oh no, the page numbers for the supplement are S. Unless they just didn't put that S in there. And here's
There
my
it is
article.
right there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so then I get the full text of this. Now, if you're following along beside me, you might want this. You know, I don't know. But let me kind of show you something with this. So a couple things happen out of the result of my search over in Google Scholar in here. One is I found this article that looks interesting. And then I would say, I'm going to look at these subject terms and look at the different subject terms that are helping me out now. I can look at pilgrimage with emotional experience, with transcendence. I'm probably not going to look at semiotics if I'm you. I probably wouldn't look at it myself. I mean, I might be interested if my English background takes me there, but I could look at that. I could also look at, you know, if this author, I click the author, has this author written any other kind of things? Nope, just the same thing. No biggie. Easy check. And once in a while, an article will also have a connection to find similar items, or it will list the works cited in this, which would probably be too old because this is 2014. But sometimes they also come in with times cited in the database, meaning somebody came after this article and cited it for their paper. So you got to watch for those.
I was wondering what that was
as well. But if you like this, you just go ahead and you download the PDF. And then you notice on the database, in this database, there's a cite feature. And you just go down to where it says APA and you grab this APA citation, copy it, and then you go to your Word document. And I'm going to stop my share so I can then share my Word document with you. And even though I know I'm in red right now with my sample ones, I'm going to stick this in there. Oh gosh, yes, that's right. This one doesn't, this particular database puts this background in here and I hate when that happens. So what I have to do is I'm going to take it to a notepad for a second and I paste it in there and then I copy it and cut it back out. And then after I've done that, I can kind of come back in here and paste it in here without that stuff. I said without that stuff. And then I get it all in there. And then I want to change my font just so it looks nice for you. Okay, so then once I got it in there, as you can see, one of the things it did, I for some reason doubled it up. So let me fix that part. I think it just didn't put it in there the first time when I looked at it. And then I have my citation in here. And all I have to do now with this citation is make sure the first word after a colon, there is no colon, but you see a lot of different things. Oh yeah, there's the first word after a colon. I missed that. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back up to my change case, make that all lowercase, and then all this lowercase. No, not all that lowercase. We have a proper name in there. So I'll make that lowercase, and then I'll do, the pilgrimage. I don't think the pilgrimage is part of the name. So in this particular case, I'm going to make that lowercase. And then my citation's good. I'm done. So, you know, that's the part of the citation that gets real easy to fix. And it's usually in the title. And that was a really good example of a title gone wrong. They capitalized every word. And then, you know, of course, this was capitalized at the start. It might not, in another database, they might not have capitalized that because they didn't know, the database didn't know what that word was. And it's just doing an automatic kind of thing. But everything else is good. You even get the, you know, Carreño symbol on there. So you look in Spanish now. And then I'm going to stop that screen share and then move back over to here. I'm just going to take that one out of there. Oops, actually, yeah, I think I wanted that up there. I messed up my database in here. There we go. Okay, let's do that screen share, move that over, and then I'm back into here. Okay, so what I did over there was, you know, I just, you know, basically looked in the catalog for this. And I was using the citations from this to find something. And that's kind of one of the other ways I could use Google Scholar. Now, I'm going to go into a real database now, as opposed to Google Scholar, to show I already have some ideas and some searching things I can do that are going to help me out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to close some of my windows in here. And let's see, I guess I'm going to have to just go back. See how far I go back if I can get. No, I think I closed that window. So let me just do this again. This is just a quick review of how to get to the things I want to get to. Okay, so once I'm in here, one of the things I might do is the ProQuest Central database would be good. Eric's going to be more the educational thing that allows us to get at possibly scholarly articles toward things like, excuse me, mindfulness, reflection, and other things. And yeah, it's a teaching database, but that's okay. I might even use a psychological database in here, psychology. But watch what I can do. And this is because I know certain things, right? I know which databases are like connected with which databases. Excuse me. So up at the top here, there's a change database feature in here. The change database lists all the databases that are ProQuest databases that I could search simultaneously. So one of the things I can do is I'm going to scroll down in here, and the ProQuest database is an interdisciplinary database. And right now it's not checked, but I can search them simultaneously with the ERIC database, which is an educational database, by clicking in here. I could also go specifically into certain databases in here, so I don't have all of this stuff like East and Southeast Asia. But I think my search terms are going to eliminate like the computer database in the first place. So I don't even really have to worry about that too much. And if I feel like it does, it becomes a problem, then I can go in here and alter this a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking that, but I wanted to come down a little bit further because there's also the social science collection in here. I want to make sure it has the database I want. It looks like I'm not getting access to the psychology database, which I kind of wanted. Oh yeah, there it is. So I'm going to bring in the APA psych articles in here and then psych info. So, and this is because I'm working on this mindfulness and stuff. I'm just going to have a possibility of going interdisciplinary in terms of that. So now I just click use the selected databases. And now comes the fun part. When I think of my search, I got a couple different things. I want to frame this in with the idea of adventure, expedition, and things like that. So in every single search that I've ever had to do with the Outdoor Adventure Leadership Program, I've had multiple different things that I have to use as my framing search. So because it could be outdoor education, it could be adventure, it could be more specific like mountaineering, it could be more specific like hiking, There's a lot of different terms, and they all mean the same thing. And I look at them as being on a parallel, even level. So I can use multiple different terms in either of these search windows. And I also can, in addition, add a search field if I need to by hitting add a row. What I'm going to start off with is not the adventure leadership piece, but this other idea of reflection and such. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to put reflection in here as a search term. And then I'm going to also add a couple. Yeah, let me add the couple right now. I'm going to do the intention, and I'm going to do mindfulness.
Oh, okay. So I see it's using like full database language, right? So like the or, the and, the
I'm typing in
tools.
the or thing in there because the idea here is these terms are all essentially parallel. In other words, I don't care if I get an article on reflection or mindfulness or intent. Any of those could be good. But right now, be mindful that I'm searching anywhere, meaning I'm just doing kind of a keyword search. So I'm looking for these words to appear in the record, which is not where I ultimately want them to be. That's why I'm probing right now. So what I'm going to do, ideally, my goal is to get my search terms in this subject heading. But I'm going to pretend I don't know any better a little bit right now, whether they are or not. I could take a shot at it and say, let me see how many hits I get when I just turn that on. And I can do that, and I get 76,000. Okay, so I'm in good shape already. And what I'm looking at when I do that is I'm going to click, let me click the abstract of this, make sure I get the abstract in here. I want to find my words in this spot here or in the identifiers over here. So mindfulness is showing up in here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking advantage of a human being who's read this article and said what it's about. Okay, that doesn't happen on a Google search. Here it does. Now, one of the things you can see on this article that makes it not relevant to what we're doing is you start looking at these other kinds of things, like bipolar disorder and other things. And unless you were trying to say, adventure, an adventure or hiking or, some kind of outdoor experience is going to help bipolar disorder, which you're not doing, this obviously isn't going to help you. But what I've really done is I've tried to show you that I'm trying to get into this, and I'm also going to be adding additional search terms to make this more relevant to my search in just a minute. Now, the other thing, if I did this search, and let me show you this important modify search button. I use this to get back to my search field without having to retype anything.
Oh, that's nice.
So I come back over here and I have this on, and this sort of works as a good search, but let me take this out over here and say I'm not going to guess that it's a main subject right away. What I'm going to see, and this is what a typical person does, they come into this database, they got 1 million hits, and they start looking over here. There's so many irrelevant things at this point that you do not want to do it that way, okay? The other thing is, what I say is on every search that you're going to do is you're going to always want to make sure you're clicking scholarly journals and not anything else but scholarly journals, just because it's what you're trying to do. The good side too is that notice that I have 1/4 of the number of hits I have, and I want, as long as that number is high, I'm in good shape. Now, if you look over here where it says subject heading, over here, I get the, when I see humans intention studies, that means I got a lot of scholarly peer-reviewed research articles. But what I'm really looking at was when I click more is I start getting my subject headings in here that I'm searching for. So mindfulness, motivation, learning adolescent, students' behavior, all these things. Every one of these subjects was generated in my search by going into the articles in the abstract in here. I'm going to click the abstract and finding it somewhere in over here for the most part. Oh no, I changed this out to the words. I'm sorry. but that's what we're going to be going for. So let me cut back in here so I can start doing part 2 of the search. So I'm going to modify my search. I'm going to go back to the subject heading. And then on this part, I'm going to do, now this is kind of funny because I noticed this the other day. Outdoors and outdoor give me 2 different things. So because there's a lot of things like outdoor adventure or something, I can't remember which way it goes, but one uses outdoor, another one uses outdoors, and there's other root words that come out of that. So I will do both of those. And then I'm going to do or adventure. And then I could add some other ones like pilgrimage, which is another word. And so in other words, what I'm trying to do now, and again, I'm going to do this as a subject head, whoops, as a main subject. And I'm just going to see what, if this is going to work, okay? At this point, I'm experimenting a little bit. But in other words, any combination of these words in the subject heading, I need both of them. So I need something with reflection and any of outdoor, outdoors, adventure, or pilgrimage, or I can have intention with any of those, but any combination, but it has to have something from both of the first and second line. Is that making sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so then I run that search. I get 153 of that. How many are scholarly? 98. Now there's 2 ways I can move forward in here. I can kind of start looking around in here and see if there's anything really, really good. But I might have to do a few more things because my pool's small. I think 90 in here, half of them are too old. So I'm looking at roughly 40 or 50, and I could actually walk through here and look at these. One of the other things I can do is I can come back over here to the subject headings. And so you know that there's outdoor education, adventure education, there's experiential learning. These are all words that are potentially possible for me to add to my search. And if I hit that more button, then this allows me to go individually into different things. Like if I just wanted to see what's the intention piece of this. So if I click this and look at intention in here, you'll notice in my abstract, I'm just going to hit this. It's looking at outdoor education and intention, and it's also about sustainability, intervention, conservation, experiential learning, and such. There's also, this tells me a little bit more about what it's about, whether it's a study. So it looks like it's a research study and what they investigated. So I can see that information. Let me come back over to here for a second. So then when I'm looking at these things, what I'm trying to do is find that, thread that how this might be connected to what I'm doing with intentionality. And I want to see something, since it's using the word intentionality, eco wellness, integrating the natural world in wilderness therapy settings. Yeah, this is about wilderness therapy. There's a lot of wilderness therapy kinds of things that go on. So, okay, it's just using the word intention. I wondered if intentionality or anything would be in there like that. But I also pick up out of here, wilderness experience. Okay, what am I going to do with that? Okay, let me show you. I'm going to hit copy that, and then we'll go back to my results. I'm going to cut back one more. I think I'm going to cut back one more. I think I have to pull this. What I have to do is take into account. And then I'm going to go to my modify search. I have all this. And I think I have this in here. So I'm going to put another or statement. And then I'm going to put a quotation, tell you why in a second. And then I'm going to put the or wilderness experience. Okay. Why? Because that's on, whoops, I'm wrong line. Did you notice it was the wrong line?
No.
Or am I going fast?
So. No, you're good.
So it's on the same plane as pilgrimage and adventure outdoor leadership, right? Mm-hmm. And all I'm saying is I'll take an article on either one of those, even though I already have the article that I found in there. And so let me run the search again. I have 165, increasing a little bit. I had 98 before of my scholarly articles. Now I have 7 more. Okay, that's the way I can increase the number of articles. And again, I can go right back to where I was, which will allow me to get that particular article by hitting more in here. And then I'm just going to look at intention. Now, one of the things, before I go into this intention thing here a second, one of the ways this subject heading can be really, really strong is I could look at all these different subject headings. And if I want to say, if I was going to write a 5-paragraph essay on this topic, and I needed, those 3 body paragraphs with 3 main ideas or topic sentences that I'm going to work with, and those are going to go back to my thesis. Breaking that down into a 5-paragraph essay is not much different than a 20-page thesis paper, except in your 20-page thesis paper, you may have 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5 major ideas, but you're going to have subtopics in there. And if I wanted to think what would be my topics, okay, I could have one that talks about reflection, a section. I could have another one that talks about reflection, that I would change that and just look at the reflection articles. Then if I needed something more, well, then I can kind of scurry around down here and look around and say, oh, let's look at mindfulness in and of itself. I could look at all 3, but I could look at just the articles on mindfulness. And then it allows me to focus my research. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is an incredible set of tools right there. That's awesome.
It's pretty cool when you could use this. This is one of the strengths of using a database like this. I'm just going to apply the intention one again and go back over here. And how you doing on time? Are you okay here yet?
Yeah, this is great.
Sorry if I'm going a little bit long. So then I start coming in here and I look at the articles. Okay, and I decide which ones I want. So I want to cut through this part because I'm not sure it's real clear all the time for you to get it. When you're looking at the articles, if you see something like this PDF full text, well, this is pretty easy to get, even though it's about radon testing. I know you don't want this. I wanted an example of a full text, so we're using it. So I come over here, and when I want to see the full text, I click the full text over here. I can download the full text over here, or I can download over here. If I click the download the full text, it's going to give me a place where I'm going to put it. But you'll notice that the name of the article always comes out something funky like out.
Yeah.
So we don't want that. So I'm going to cancel this for a second. And what I would do is I'd grab part of the title, enough to give me an indicator of what article I'm going to do later on. Then when I go to this download and come over here, I'm going to change that title to the title of the article itself. And then I'm going to save it either to my desktop, or I could save it to Google Drive or something like that, where I can get at it anywhere I happen to go. And then I save my article and I'm done with that. Then I go over to the citation feature of this database and I click that, and it will start with APA. It's the 6th edition, knowing that we have the 7th edition. And I'm glad we got this one because this is an important one. If it has something like this here, where it says retrieve from, and it has SOU in here, you don't want that. This is without a DOI. So just go to the page numbers over here, copy all of that, and then take that over and put it into your database. Then look this over. Being that looks like an acronym, you don't have to mess with that. I think it's fine. I would probably put a space right in between that comma, because it just doesn't look like it should be that way. Although it's written this way over here. It's not written that way where the PhD is over here. So I just have to do some spacing things.
That's interesting.
But other than that, it's good, unless in the full text article itself, let me close this down a second. If you see somewhere, and it'll either be on this first page or not at all, if you saw a DOI in here, then I would take that DOI and paste it in at the end of that particular citation. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. I generally say, if you see the citation, you got the citation. If you don't, forget about it. Okay, so that's how you get that kind of a full text article when it looks like that. Let me go back to the results. The trickier one looks like what we did when we were looking up that reference. So if I come up over and I want to look at the role of pay and sense of community, this one, or let's look at this one. It looks like possibly a little better. And it says check at SOU. I can either click the title or I can go directly to check at SOU. And what's going to happen, it's going to open up the library catalog, and then it's going to look for a full text access point. And in this particular case, it says the full text is available from this database. If you have multiple different things in here, it could be available in, like, say, 3 different sources that we have access to. Just watch your date that, we don't have any problem with this one. It's available from 2009 to the present. We're within that time range, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if there's multiple ones, start with the first one, second one, third one, like that.
Okay.
And if you have any problem getting the full text, then you contact me, and generally send me the citation that you pulled off of APA. That makes it helpful for me. And then anyway, I just click this, and if everything works right, it'll make the transfer. If it doesn't, I have to use an incognito window. It looks like it's probably going to go. This database is sometimes funky. Typically, it would open up to this space where we're looking for. This is one where you might kind of ask me a question about it. Interesting, like I looked down and I saw, a couple of the other things in here. Look, both of these gendered experiences in backcountry. Well, I know a couple of people who want this article that I've been working with, your classmates. I was just working with, I can't remember her name right now. It's spelled differently than, it was a different spelling. Anyway, she was doing something, and gendered experiences was one of her places.
Alicia?
Yes. Yeah. Or this one, but it's not the article we were looking at. So what happens in this particular one, I'm going to have to come back over here. I'm going to grab the title of the article. And this is something where you might have to be a librarian to do this, but it's not complicated if you think about it. And then I'm just going to come over here and search for the article title, knowing that I also put the author in here, but I don't want that. And then I'm just going to search it and see if I can have it come up that way. Now, it didn't come up that way. So this is where I might say, copy this to me and send this to me, and let me see if I can figure it out. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take part of the title off of it and see if I can do any better in here if I do it like this. No, for some reason it's not giving me this. So then I'm going to come back over here. This is one where I would probably ask Dale. First of all, there's a clue in here that it's a 2020, so it's very, very new. One of the things some journals have is what's called an embargo, meaning that they don't release the full text until they've had opportunity to sell it.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
that could be one of the cases in here. But the first thing I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to click the title because it's easier to do this if I click the title. I'm going to copy this title or highlight it. I'm going to right click on it because I'm using Google Chrome. And I'm going to let Google search this and see if there's an access point, full text out there. Now, when I get over here, I see 2 things. One, this asks me to request it, and then I have already broke down. So it's only these 2 things that I might be able to do. But I'm looking at this with this Sagamore, whatever this is, and I want to see if there's a way we have access to it. And again, this is one of those things you wouldn't be doing, but it looks like in this particular case, our library doesn't have access to it. So the bottom line right now, I don't have a full text access point, which is good because it leads me to this. Let's see where I'm at. I can get back to the place I need to be. I think I need to be on this window. No, let me do this. I got to do this part again. So I lost this spot. So what I want to do is I want to come over here. Now I'm logged in over here. And if you don't see request article over here, then go ahead and make sure you're signed in. And you can click up here. Sometimes it looks like you're signed in, so you sign out. And if you sign out, then it goes to here. You just hit a backspace and then hit sign in again. It'll ask you that if you, whoops, I didn't get it. It'll ask you if you're a student, faculty, staff, you click that and then you're signed in. So it's just a couple clickings around to do this. And then what I would do is I would hit this request article. If you've never requested an article, the first time you do this, you could type your username and password in here and it's going to ask you to create an account. If you already have an account, then, or after you have an account, you'll do this. What I like to affectionately call my typing test. I succeeded, I'm happy. And then it comes over to this field where you can request the article. All the information you need is already filled out. So your job is to hit submit request and then go on with your search. And in usually about 1 to 4 days, you're going to get an email saying the full text of your article is here. And you're going to be able to go in here and just pull out the full text and download it. And then you have a copy of it. That's
Awesome.
free to you. You don't pay for it or anything. We do this for free. Technically, we do it because you pay tuition. We used to charge $2 for it. We decided enough's enough.
Yeah, makes sense.
You guys, that's like, to me, it was right up there with going to a hotel and then being charged 75 cents to make a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. It's just a phone call.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nickel and diamond.
That didn't work out for hotels eventually. So then I'm going to get that article. Knowing that I'm going to get it, I come back over here and I get my citation and I move on. Let me see if I could do another one that actually worked a little easier. How about like this one? Check it SOU. I click in here. Same thing, full text available. This one's available from one of our online journal collections. So when I click this, it's going to bring up right to the spot of the citation. And I'm going to look on this page somewhere where I can get the PDF. Once I click that, I'm going to be able to download the PDF. And then I have the article and move from there. Last but not least in there, let me just close these windows. Come back over here with that article. And you'll notice on several of these articles, there's their reference list and then there's a cited by. And, I'm looking at an article that was, cited twice since 2017. This one from 2014 was cited by 81 different authors, which is almost like what Google uses for their major criteria for their algorithm in putting up a website number 1 versus number 99 is who links to who. So they basically, that whole algorithm was founded on the idea that good sites, other people link to good sites. So let's use that information in the algorithm, which they did. It's one of the, now everybody uses it, but that was Google's origin of how they became such a good search tool. When you want to see any of those, so say I wanted to see the articles that were cited by, which are the newer articles than the 2017, I can just click these and quite honestly, I'm looking to cherry pick here. So either there's a full text access point like check it SOU or the full text itself. Otherwise, I would just bypass it. But if it is, I click on it and I go there. These aren't relevant to what your search is, so I'm not too worried about it. Mm-hmm. But something else might, or the references, which are going to be older. So if you're at 2008, these are going to be older than 2008, which might be too old. In this particular case, as you're seeing, we have 14 articles about intention, and you see how fast those 14 articles start getting old. And so you may only be looking at somewhere down in this neighborhood before you say, okay, no more, 2014 is the earliest. I got 1 or 2 articles out of there at most. Then I just basically hit my back button over here. I got to hit back a few times, I think, because I did a couple other things. But what I want to do is I want to come back to Yeah, this will work. So I want to come back to here where oh, actually, yeah, no, I got the wilderness experience. So I'm going to hit the scholarly article. So I want to get back to this spot where I can then use the subject heading and then say, well, let me do just all the articles with reflection in here. And so I can kind of come in here, and I can also say, well, let me do the ones reflection and adventure yeah, I'll do adventure education. What I'd like to do is that wildlife, but I just do, for an example, I did this. And so adaptive exercise. Now, the other thing I didn't do is I didn't do anything on the idea of journaling or keeping a journal. And I would have that as one of my search terms in your case, because there is an aspect, and I've read about this in like Stephen Brookfield's work about if you're doing reflections and intentions, having a journal to keep track of it is one of the ways of encouraging the reflection. So at the end of the day, you can stop and sit back and after a long, hard day and, make yourself a cup of tea or a beverage of choice and sit back and think about everything. But once you stop thinking about it, usually that goes away. And it will be replaced by new experience because that's how the mind works. When you write it down, it moves it into at least short-term memory as opposed to working memory, and potentially even gets it out to long-term memory. But when you write it down, you can always go back, and then it's like your memory is preserved in there, so you can come back and look at it. I once did a trip when I was 18 years old, a bike trip across Canada, and I kept a journal, and very fast I fell behind. So I was writing at one point within around the 6th or 7th week of the trip, I was journaling about a month behind myself because I was writing so much in there. But then I lost my journal, so I never was able to go back and look at it. Actually, I didn't lose it. It got stolen, but and that's a sore subject, but I don't want to bring up my past sore subject about an individual. But the point being is that's one of the ways of taking that experience that you have and making it a learning experience as opposed to just an experience. In fact, now that I look down, I just caught the top of this particular article and said, this is your article. Right?
Oh yeah, model, yeah, for enhancing learning. Yeah, totally.
So with this one, I'd go full bore on this one. Not only would I grab the full text, hopefully we have it when I check it. So I'm just going to check it because I want to say, yay. Yep, full text available. Sage is great. I love Sage. It's really easy to find Sage because they usually have a big red marker where the full text is. Download the PDF. So you get that, and you get all that. But you come back to this article, and what I mean by going full bore with it, I would check why this person cited this article and what this said. We are wilderness explorers, a review of outdoor education in Canada. I don't know what that means yet, so I would look at the abstract and the details of this. And if this article is good, being that it's 2019, I might even look at the references they use. But then I'm going to come back because this article that we're looking at is 2018, which is also fairly new.
Oh man, look at those tags.
I'd look at the 45 references in here and see if I can cherry pick any good things. Sometimes the reference page takes a little bit. And then feedback for thought, examining influence of feedback constituents on learning experience. Yeah, I'd be all over this kind of stuff. So reflective learning in higher education.